back.
We're back.
We're back.
Hi, Luce.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good. Who's this guy here? This intruder?
So we have
Wow.
a very special guest here today. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
Absolutely. It seems like you won't introduce me, so I will happily introduce myself. Hello. My name is Marquise Hendricks, Hen Dizzle, as some people might say. No, I...
And Drizzle.
Hen Drizzle. No, 3 facts about me. I am from Iowa. I am 23, despite looking like a high schooler. And let's see, I am in the Marine Corps. Believe it or not, I just hit my 4-year mark
Nice.
this past month. Yeah,
4 years?
I
My
know.
goodness.
I'm also this month I got promoted to sergeant, so that's very exciting.
Nice. So how would you announce that then, Sergeant?
Sergeant,
Hendricks?
yes, Sergeant Hendricks. Hendricks Cuadrado. I don't know how to pronounce the last part of my name.
Can I say Scooter?
You sure can.
Sergeant Scooter?
Yeah. Do you want me to explain why that's
You
my nickname?
can.
Yeah, so I met while I was on deployment in Bahrain last year. I met the sergeant major of the Marine Corps, and he was going around. He was asking a few people while we were on this big formation. He was like, "Hey, Corporal, Johnson, why'd you join?" And he was like, "Oh, it was to make my dad proud." "Oh, okay, Corporal, Drake or something. I don't know. Why'd you join?" "Oh, blah blah blah, 'cause money." Uh,
Hell yeah.
he got to me and he was like, "All right." And then he saw my last name. My whole last name was 17 characters, and he was like, "All right, what about you, Hendrix Scooter? Why did you join?" And then I corrected it. I was like, it's Hendrix Cuadrado, Sergeant Major, and I joined blah blah blah. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I really didn't have to correct him. He's not going to remember this. To this day, he will not remember that we met.
You're never gonna see him again, or if he does, he's not gonna remember.
Hendrix would make a really good first name. Hendrix.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's better than my first name, Marquise, which no one knows how to pronounce.
Marquise.
Yes, I have been called Marcus. Marquise is always a fancy one.
Marquise.
Yeah, that too.
What was the most butchered name you've gotten?
Let's see here now. I think, I would say Marquise. Markiki was also a good one that
I've gotten Luz.
Luds.
Yeah, Luz.
Luz.
I don't know if you guys can relate, but when we would have substitute teachers come in elementary school or middle school or high school, I dreaded the name roll call roster thing, because they would just butcher names left and right. And yep, sure enough, I was always the last one because of my last name.
Luz.
Here, present. Like that Key and Peele skit almost. He's like, Ron.
Yes. Well, either way, I'm incredibly grateful to be here on the podcast. I feel like I'm a pretty special guest. This got to be what, episode 50, 100?
Oh yeah, we're in the thousands by now. I just lost track.
Yes, you've run out of guests. So
I'm glad that you're here too. We could pick your brain.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
some steamy stories of the Marine boot camps. No kink shame,
No, not at all. Not at all. If you, I was gonna say, if you shower with over a dozen guys at one time, you can just talk about whatever. At
You
that
just get
point.
used to it.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just you get really good at making eye contact with
Is
people.
there a stigma of don't drop the soap there?
I feel like they're not in a negative way, not in the way that people normally think of.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of everyone's just gonna make fun of you and make references to that if you do end up dropping the soap.
Oh, interesting. So tell us why you're here.
Well, I'm here mainly because I was invited, which I really appreciate again. I'm here because, like you said, you pick my brain. We could spread a little knowledge, get a third opinion on today's topic. Xavier, do you wanna bring in today's topic?
Sure. today I kind of want to touch on the ideas of self-esteem, happiness, things like that. And of course, segueing to funny anecdotes is always a plus as well.
Absolutely.
Self-esteem. I got in.
You know what's funny too
I
is
like negative.
in 4th grade, actually, I remember the idea of self-esteem being introduced to me, and the teacher asked us, okay, what is, can anyone take a guess at what self-esteem is? And I raised my hand, and I was so sure of myself. I was like, it's about how angry you are. Because I was like, yeah, steam, like, in the cartoons, right? Where they, are steaming out their ears. Yeah,
Right.
that's anger. So
It could stem from that. Who knows? Who knows?
That is self-esteem.
So
Self-esteem. Yeah, because it's kind of a weird word, esteem. Like, you do think of almost like a vegetable, like steaming vegetables or something when you hear that. I don't know. Self-esteem. I think I knew exactly what it meant probably outside of high school, to be honest. Probably looked it up. Because they don't talk about it much.
In terms of school?
In terms of school, yeah.
well, I think in school they just tell you, hey, focus on you should have like good self-esteem, and if you don't, fix that. Like that's about the extent that we get for self-help, self-esteem, anything like that.
I didn't get that.
You didn't even get that?
No, I didn't even get that.
Sad.
It was like, Luce, you're doing this wrong. Be better. Eat less hamburgers. That's what it was. The next time the next time I have to buy you a size 13 jean, not gonna happen.
Oh, no.
Yep. That's my fair share of it.
This is amazing. So like you didn't even get to learn about self-esteem because they just took it away
They
from
just
you.
took it away. There's like, it's a privilege. You can't.
You can't afford
You
this.
can't afford this. That's basically what it was for me.
That's amazing.
But you seem to be pretty dressed well today, Marquise. You wearing a suit.
Yes, yeah. So I wore a suit for the podcast, believe it or not. So that way all the people at home could hear how well dressed I sound.
Exactly.
For people who can't see, he is wearing a black blazer, some dress pants,
It's charcoal gray.
charcoal gray, correction. Charcoal gray blazer with charcoal gray pants or slacks, whatever they're called, and a white button up. Except like the first two buttons aren't buttoned.
No.
The collar button isn't buttoned. That's what it is.
Well, here, because I would unbutton another button, but then I would expose an uncomfortable amount of chest hair.
Right now there is no chest hair peeking.
All 30 of my chest hairs would be exposed.
Not one exposed yet.
Well, the night is young, so that's a good time. Fun fact, actually, about this suit, it is actually made with the same material that athletic clothes are worn. And so this company, Ministry of Supply, is the first one, I believe it was their CEO, who broke a record in wearing a suit to a half marathon. And yeah, he ran in a half marathon, which is about 12-ish miles, 13 miles, in a suit.
I was about to ask you, how many did you run?
0, because I am horribly out of shape now. I'm healthy, but I'm just not in shape anymore.
You look pretty healthy.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's insane to run that much in a suit. But if it's like the material, I guess it's like, yeah. Oh,
Won't
I
you
could
get swampy in it though?
I don't know. I haven't experienced that yet, so we'll see. Again, the night is young.
Mm-hmm.
But and again, relating this back to self-esteem, I think I bought my first suit when I was 17 years old at Joseph A. Bank, and then I proceeded to work there about a year later. And my logic was that if you look good, you feel good about yourself. So I was just one of those weird kids that occasionally would just wear a suit to high school. And you know, it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, this is my thing and I'll just own it. And then just got really knowledgeable about clothing and stuff like that. And now I probably have I'd say over a dozen suits.
That's right, guys. And you at home now can get a great deal. If you go in the video and go to our description down below,
click it.
You can get a 50% off any suit at Men's Warehouse.
50% off.
I have a funny story. You know what's funny? Because one of the comments, because I don't even remember saying it, but I guess in one of the other podcasts we said like you can get a free sandwich from Subway.
We said that?
I guess I did, and someone commented, "Where's the link? I want my free sandwich."
Ooh. That was my goof, guys. I forgot to put it down below. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if you check now, it should be in the link. It
should be there.
Right next to that, motherfucking Cash App.
Motherfucking Cash App.
Wait, are we allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, we can swear in this.
We can swear in this.
Yo, that's flipping awesome.
Right?
Yeah, where are all the beaches at?
Mm-hmm. Just letting it fly.
Oh, but going back to the self-esteem part, it's funny because I used to call bullshit on like if you look good, then you're gonna feel good. I used to call bullshit on it. But there was a story I did hear. I think it was through YouTube, where this girl just went through a deep depression, and she just let her hair go. I think girls have this, or certain people can relate to their hair as being, not just girls, but certain people can relate to hair being like an important feature for them, and kind of a reflection of their self-esteem. And she let her hair go. It was like really mad as she was just in her bed all the time and just like really depressed, really sad, and it just got knotted really bad. And she had gone to a salon, and she went to this the hairstylist, and she's just like, just cut it off, like there's no point, like there's just cut it off, it's there. And it was really bad. Like the hairstylist was like, oh my gosh, like I think I am gonna have to cut it off. But no, she actually sat there and detangled it for like the longest, and she got it out and stuff and styled it really nice. And her reaction when she saw the end result of her hair was just, it was amazing. So after hearing that story, I totally tie it into how you say look good, feel good, you know? And same thing goes back. I had a patient one time. She was in a really bad motor vehicle accident, and she was a badass too. She was like this biker lady, like 40, must have been like 40 in her 50s and stuff. And she was really in bad shape, mangled up, black eye. And she had been in the hospital for like 3 days, and no one had asked her to help her with the bath. And she obviously needed a lot of help, but no one acknowledged it. I think she kind of got like flown over, you know, like missed. And when I came in, she asked me if I could help her, and I said yes. And I seen how tangled her hair was. She's like, my son's gonna come in with a better brush. Do you mind brushing it out for me? I'm like, no, I can do that. And it was really bad, really matted. And finally we got it out, and I put it in a really cute braid and stuff. And she was just so thankful afterwards. She even like told like the charge nurse and was like, this girl, like she helped me untangle my hair and stuff. And it just made her feel better. Like something about that just makes someone kind of like their self-esteem builds off from there, and totally can change the vibe or even their outlook of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I always tell people this too. It's not the whole idea of like you're so focused on just your outward appearance and, you know, it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. Just as long as you look good, you know, and that's not what I'm getting at all. I'm actually saying that just a really good way to start to build your self-esteem is just by, starting to care about your appearance, just something simple like brushing your hair, or, if you wear makeup, maybe just a little bit,
Wiping
just
your
a little
butt
for yourself. Hmm. Exactly.
I didn't hear that.
I did.
And it's funny too. Just a slight tangent as well about helping out other people. I worked before the Marine Corps. I actually worked at Men's Warehouse, hence where I started to build up my suit collection. And we had a gentleman that came in.
Suit collection.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My suit collection, right? For.
I feel like Xavier had a joke because he
No. I have a story, but it just clicks in my head. But not after Marquise is done. Go on.
Of course. So there's this gentleman that came in kind of like later on in the evening when I was working there. I was still pretty new at with Men's Warehouse. I was only working for a month, and he came in and he was looking for a suit. So he was a retired Marine, and I guess during his time, he actually. I don't know, he's exposed to some chemicals that actually gave him lung cancer, and he was terminally ill. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this in a second. No, yeah, so he was terminally ill, and he was looking for a suit for his own funeral.
Oh.
And yes, so there is nothing in the manual that covers how to deal with that. Luckily, my manager had taken over at that point, and
Wow.
guided him and done the sale. However, I felt like it was.
I was
not
gonna make
good
a really
time.
bad.
No, I'm about to make a bad joke because
I got some bad jokes too, but go on, Marquise.
Well, let me.
Did
make
you
this
get a
bad joke.
discount?
No, but I almost mentioned the fact that we are having a buy one get one free sale.
Oh.
But I felt like that would have not have been a good time to mention it. May he rest in peace.
When he's gonna wear the other suit?
Just wear it over your first suit at your funeral,
One could be for the viewing, one could be for the burial.
Exactly.
That's probably how I'm gonna do it. I swear, if I pass away and y'all let me wear my dress blues in my funeral,
What color
I'm
you
gonna be so
want to wear?
mad. I'll wear whatever. I don't care. I have, like I said, 12 suits. You guys can pick one. Don't let me wear my uniform.
Expands, right?
It's fine. I'll just wear my.
Does it?
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll get it refitted.
Yeah, you inflate.
We'll get it tailored.
It's not like anyone's gonna see me. I'm sorry.
What was your story, Xavier?
Did you
No.
see a bad joke?
Yeah, I was gonna say when you said he got exposed to what was it, Marquise?
Well, I don't remember what
Like some chemicals or something?
Yeah, it was just
I
cancer-causing chemicals.
when he said that he got exposed to these chemicals, like, and then he got, I was like, and then he got superpowers. He started
Spider-Man or the Hulk?
He started glowing in the dark. What?
Going in
This is terrible.
radioactive.
Have you guys seen the meme? They have like light up nails, and it's like, imagine, bitch, turn your nails off.
What was I gonna say? Oh, but I had a story about helping someone too one time.
Okay, what you got?
So I called the suicide hotline one day.
Oh.
I was concerned about someone. I won't say what happened, but they were just maybe not in the best place. So this is maybe a couple months ago. I called them. This is late at night, and
Was it the number from that Logic song?
it was a song, Logic song, which I don't know what it is. You guys can Google that.
Who can relate?
But what was it? But yeah, I had I was concerned. And I was like, normally I'm fairly good at tackling things like that and be able to talk to a person, but like, you know what, I feel maybe they can give me some insight, some advice or something that isn't clicking to me, that maybe like, oh wait, you know what, make sure to phrase something this way or say it this way, not to agitate the person or anything. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I called them. First off, I was on hold for 15 minutes
15?
before anyone picked up. I could have killed myself at this point.
Oh,
Twice, at least.
Exactly.
15. You would expect, were they like, they picked up and they basically said, hold on a moment, I'm going to put you on hold.
No, it wasn't even that. I just rang and then it said all our lines are operators are busy at the moment. We're expecting longer than normal wait times. Like, please hold. So I didn't even talk to anyone at first. And so finally, after 15 minutes, someone did pick up.
He said, "You're still here."
I'm still alive. And so they, funny enough, it was the Georgia Crisis Hotline, even though we're in Arizona, because I think it goes based off like it's automatically based off like your phone's like area code, and mine's Atlanta. Fun fact about that, 404. So
From the ATL guys.
ATL. Atlanta. That's right, Janet. But yeah, so it connected me all the way over there. I'm like, okay, no problem. Just need advice. I don't need to show up anywhere. So she asked me basic questions. What's happening? You know, is this pertaining to you? I'm like, no, it's about a friend. I explained to her the situation, what's going on. And she was fairly helpful. Like nothing too out of the ordinary. She was like, oh, it's good you're calling, you know, for your friend and just trying to get advice and stuff. And, you know, that's all you can do is like sit and talk with them. That's a big help already. And then she's like, she goes like, where are you though? So I explained to her where we're at. I'm like, okay, I need to transfer you to someone over there because it's like you need to be in like the vicinity just in case you need help or whatever. I'm like, okay. So she puts me on hold. And no, before she does, she asked me, she's like, where are you at? Are you northern, central, southern Arizona? I'm like, I'm southern Arizona. Okay. I'll direct you over to the right person. And so I got on hold for maybe like a minute. And then I get connected to someone else. And it's like, oh, well, how can I help you? So I explained to her the situation, everything. Okay, great. Problem. She put you to the wrong person. This is Central Arizona. Sorry. I got to send you the person to Southern Arizona now. Hold again. I'm like,
you could have died like.
I could have killed myself like 4 times at this point.
Oh my gosh.
And then finally, I get connected to to the person who's in Southern Arizona, and I explained to her, okay, well, here's the situation. She goes, so what do you want? And I'm like
they didn't key her in?
No, I guess they maybe told her like you're getting a transfer call or something. So I just explained to her really quickly, here's what's up. I'm calling for advice about a friend. And I quickly ran through her like specifics of what was happening. She's like, so what are you looking for? What do you want? I'm like, that's
and you were on a time crunch too, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, exactly. It's like I'm supposed to like see my friend right now to talk to them, and I think and all she said was, well, you can try talking to him.
Okay, I'll do that then.
That was pretty much it.
God.
My friend had shown up. It's like, okay, great advice. Thank you. I'll do that. Okay, bye.
I'm like fucking no good for.
I'll talk to him, but first I'm gonna make him wait like 15 minutes. That seems to be the strategy here.
I think he'll be fine.
Oh my gosh! You're like, you guys are no help. Bye.
It was like, yeah, it's like if that's the experience, I think that system really needs to be revamped because it's got to be. Also, it's like, I guess it's like more. Maybe it's a little bit easier if like you're calling for yourself. Like maybe they can offer you more advice, but even still, it's like, man, that was worthless.
I know, and I know that, and the thing is that you couldn't be the only person that's called in that situation. I'm pretty sure people in the past, they get all kinds of calls. They'll probably get like, the mom calling or like the grandma calling or something. They have to get like a bunch of crazy calls. So for you saying like, I'm a friend, you're not the first. It's just like crazy how they make you wait and stuff. But yeah, going back to kind of there being, like you guys, like they dropped the ball, obviously. So it's like, what do you like? What could be revamped in a sense? Let's specter that. Maybe time, definitely.
I think they could hire more people.
Hire more people.
First off, and maybe a little bit more trained to be like, okay, how do you tackle in this scenario? Because all they said, just talk to them. I'm like, I am doing that already, and I'm 99% sure I gave them way better advice than they gave me on the phone.
There was a stat. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was somewhere in the LA region, and they were saying how because of the Rona, like suicide rates have gone up, and like instead of one every week for a particular region in LA, because LA is really big, it was like we're having 5 to 6 a day now, and it's because people have been losing their jobs, losing their means of work and stuff, and money coming in, income. What else? Meaning your purpose in life sometimes. Ooh, singles out there. It's a rough time to be single right now with the Rona. We're all lonely and stuff, and you being quarantined and having to social distance.
I know it was rough. I used to be single.
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago.
But not anymore, I presume. Oh,
I hope that gets cut out.
it won't.
Oh,
It
amazing.
won't.
But I have a question following up. So, as a Marine, are there any resources for you guys specifically, like when you're feeling stressed or you're in a scenario like that? Like, is there specifically resources for you guys?
Yes, absolutely. So there's actually a statistic out there, of course, that suicide is actually the number one cause of loss of life in the armed forces. Like we lose more service members to suicide instead of in actual combat situations. So there's a lot of resources out there. One that I've used a couple of times myself is called the De-Stress Hotline. That's like literally DE stress.
Like the digits, that's what you dial.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's funny. I've never understood like actually being able to
dial
that stuff. Yeah.
I got that later on in life too.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, yeah, it's actually an anonymous hotline where you all you do is you call in and then you talk to either a Marine veteran or a Navy veteran that has worked with Marine units before, or like a spouse, anything like that. Someone that would actually get it and understand the culture of what you're dealing with, and they just go through, and you just kind of vent to them. That's what I did in my situation. And then they're like, yeah, I get it, that is tough. Oh, your sergeant yelled at you? Yeah, no, it happens. Just for example. So there's that. Of course, chaplains are one of the biggest and best utilized resources because chaplains are 100% anonymous. Kind of like in for Catholicism, we have the seal of confession, right, where you cannot say anything outside of the sacrament of confession,
Or you die.
Yes, pretty basically spiritually.
The Pope does it himself. He gets the guillotine ready and just goes.
Yes. The Pope actually calls you immediately after the confession to the priest and say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, you can't go to heaven." That's no. Anyway, no, actually, who was it? I think it was Chris Stefanik who was like, "Yeah. Do you think when you tell the priest your sins, he calls up Pope Francis like, you'll never guess what parishioner blah 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 said," and then Pope Francis just say, "No hablo inglés," and then
He does that. I've seen it.
But anyway, going back to it though, chaplains are a fantastic resource because they also maintain the same source of anonymity, where they don't even they can't even confirm or deny that you went and saw them that day. So let's say even if I wanted to know if one of my Marines went to go see the chaplain, if I tried to call the chaplain, they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know," and I'd be like, I can't tell you, and then we'd be like, "Okay, I guess we don't know then." So there's that. Obviously, I told my Marine one time, I said, "Hey, you're living on the fourth deck of the barracks. Before before you decide to take a swan dive off the fourth deck, hey, just come down 2 floors. I live down here. I'll talk to you. It's on the way down. Might as well just swing by, and we'll see if we can resolve that. So just finding someone that you can open up to and confide in is very important.
I have a really bad story
Please.
about kind of suicide, but I don't even know how to jump into it. So when
Neither did they, but they jumped.
Yep. No, I was at my aunt's house. This was in California, and I don't know, Marquise, if you've heard this one,
Okay,
but
I don't think I have so far.
So we're at my aunt's house, and we're on inside the house playing some games and stuff. And I think one of my cousins was kind of feeling excluded. And at the time, she was like probably like 5 or 6. And she was kind of feeling excluded and stuff. And she got in a mood. And she was just really, you can visibly see, something's upsetting her. And I seen her just go outside, out the back door, out to the backyard. And like a minute passed, and I was like, where did she go? And I'm like, So I'm like, let me see what she's up to. So I see her like go like into the shed, and I'm like, oh, she's going to shed. There's a shed back there? What the? And so I'm like, okay, let's follow her. So I go follow her. Meanwhile, everyone's still having a blast in the house, laughing, playing games,
Sure, just
like,
having a grand old
yeah,
time.
they don't even know we're gone, they're just, and I see her go into the shed, and I open the door to the shed, and I see her get this rifle, and she's just like, she's visibly upset, she's crying, and I'm like, and I say her name, and we're gonna say, I'm like, Sarah, what are you doing, like, are you, like, what is it, what are you doing, what's wrong? And she's like, she was just visibly upset. She's like, no one wants to hang out with me or whatever. She's like, I want to be dead like Brownie. And she's talking about her dog, the one that passed away earlier, like that year. And she's like, I just want to be dead like Brownie. And she gets the rifle. I'm like, Sarah, no. Like, leave that there. No. Let's go back inside. And I didn't want to freak her out, because here I am. I'm like a 12, 13-year-old. I'm like, meanwhile, everyone's having a blast, eating salsa and chips and carne asada inside. And I'm just like, I have to deal with this. Like, how do I didn't want to freak out where it's like, you don't come back, Sarah, after this. You don't come back. This is not like a game. This isn't Pac-Man. You don't have another life,
So like prepubescent loose is explaining mortality to a 5-year-old.
Exactly. I want to be dead like Brownie. And I'm like, no, Sarah, come back. And so we go back into the house, and I look at my mom, I'm like, Mom, she just went into the shed. There was a rifle there, and she was about to like end it. And she was just like, oh my God. My mom couldn't believe it either, but she didn't say anything either. So, but yeah, that was I had to be like not freaking her out. Meanwhile, I was freaked out. I'm like, but it was just a crazy thought. Yeah, you don't come back. Once you do it, there is no life number 2. It's it. It almost reminds me of another story, if we have another, if you don't mind.
I was just gonna say too that suicide is a very, very sensitive subject in here. And
We do take it seriously,
yes,
but we're also comedians, so
well,
expect jokes.
Exactly, and it's hard to it's like it's one of those things where suicide. It's like, how do you even make that funny? And we sure try. We
try.
We do put in that effort. So this is us giving it 100%.
I mean, the whole situation was just like you were saying, prepubescent Liz was explaining, you don't come back after this. Like, and I remember having to sit for a kid too in the pediatrics unit. He was autistic, and he was cutting himself, and he also didn't get the concept of like, after this you don't come back. There is no life after this, and well, maybe there is. Who knows? We don't know. This could be a simulation.
I think the big thing with that is I think people are really looking for like a pause from the stress of what they're going through. Like, if I can just not be doing this right now, and if I can collect myself for a minute, I think that'd be great. I think that's really what, because when you feel like when people mention about suicide, it's like I need things to stop. I need to not be doing this, and I think that's what they feel. But it's like you said, it's like, but that's it. You don't get to come back, and you hear the statistics too, like people who jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. A couple people do end up surviving from it, and everyone who ends up surviving from it, immediately they say, I regretted it. I made the wrong choice. And I think out of the people who, like the percentage of the people who did survive, I think it's like 1% or something of them ended up killing themselves anyways. Like it was really low.
Yeah, I think it was in the like double digits out of the number of people that do survive. Compared to, I think it was either 3 or 4 digits actually jump yearly. So,
So they end up regretting it and not like.
Yeah, no, they realize it's like as soon as they jump, they're like, I shouldn't have. And with that, what happens is they just realize it's like, no, there was something else how I wanted to transmute this or how I wanted to unfold this. This wasn't it.
I think back and I'm like, Marquise, remember when you gave that night about you gave a talk?
yes, yeah. It
And
was a suicide prevention.
yes,
talk
and
that-
I'm trying to think of that acronym you said.
Hang on. I should know it because I gave this talk this year actually.
Mhm.
It was only a couple months ago.
So yeah, if we can pause it, then I will happily try and remember it too.
Do you want? Okay, so in my phone, I feel like there's a picture I took. Was it on this one? No, it might not have been on this one because this was I got the phone after the Rona, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might not have it. I feel like I wrote it down somewhere though.
I feel like I also wrote it down somewhere.
I remember. I'm trying to think of the actions you made us do. So you picked 4 people
Yes.
to go
yeah.
up.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
well, we covered. I did see those notes.
Yeah,
It's
hold on.
written down.
You picked 4 people to go up,
Mhm.
and then Janet was action, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if you could look at those
Yeah,
more cues.
absolutely.
Thought,
So-
language, action, culmination.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, hopelessness and loneliness equates to.
Yeah, like just losing your sense of hope, of course, and then just feeling like you don't have anyone to confide in and
Mhm.
regain that hope. That's kind of the recipe for disaster right there. But as for the 4 people, I had them all come up just to visually show that the just any major stressors in life, it comes in like stages here. So the first stage, of course, is thought. Second stage is and that's just where you're thinking these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Second stage is language. So you actually start to say these things out
Mhm.
loud to maybe like a close friend or a family member or something
Mhm.
like that, someone you can confide in. Social media is a place where a lot of people confide in because they think it's anonymous. The third one is like kind of like actions, how you start to like orient your movements and your literally actions towards this thing. And then the fourth is the culminating event, and that can be anything, whether it's like breaking up with someone, deciding to beat someone up.
So someone beeping at you.
Yeah,
on a red light.
yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like that would be more of the action. The culminating event would be someone getting out of their car and fighting you.
That's right.
So, yeah, and it just shows that if we can identify things at an earlier stage in the thoughts and language, so
Mhm.
obviously we can't read people's thoughts, but if we can
Mhm.
catch it at the language, we can stop them before it gets to that culminating event.
Interesting.
Yes. So, yeah.
All right. I have a question for you guys.
All right, what you got, Xavier?
Was there ever like something like you thought you would get or like do that would make you really happy? Like if I had like Like, if think back when you were a kid, like, if I had this toy, like, man, would that be amazing? Or, like, oh, if I only, like I got this part in the school play, like, I would, like, be grateful forever. Like, was there ever that one thing you wanted, like, that would make me happy?
Do you want to answer first, or do you want me to go?
I can go.
Oh, perfect.
There's a few. I think of a lot. One of them that really sticks out to me, and it actually ties in back to my self-esteem too. It's really sad. Fucking sad. I'm pathetic, guys. So
We're all pathetic, Liz.
when this is like when Sam's Club had just first opened, I believe, on the Yuma Palm side. It had been open for a few years, but I clearly remember it's probably like in middle school too. And I clearly remember this girl being on her phone all the time, and her mom and her siblings were like eating their pizza right there. You know how like Costco and Sam's Club have like the food court area and stuff, and they're eating their stuff, and this girl's just on her phone. She's just like connected to her phone, and it's a smartphone too. I've always wanted a smartphone. I wasn't able to have one until I worked for it, and I saw her on her phone, and I'm like, dang, she's so invested in the phone. She's not even like eating, she's not with her phone. She's not eating. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, if I get a cell phone, I'm like, that'll make me stop eating, and then I'll lose weight, and then I'll be skinnier, and then I'll be happy, and maybe I'll achieve some happiness. Maybe that'll fix this whole like me looking miserable, me, feeling this way, me being fat, me being made fun of, like maybe that'll fix it. It's me. I have to get the phone. Like, that's going to make me lose weight. That's going to make me suppress my appetite. That's going to distract me so I won't shove food down my throat, And I remember thinking that, and I would think that. So that's my take on it.
Wow, that did not go where I was expecting it
I
to
know.
go.
I have a fucking twisted head. I know.
Right on.
Nah, you're not twisted, Liz. You're perfect. I'm twisted.
Aw.
Well, can I be a little bit twisted?
You can be twisted.
Go, Marquise.
With me too,
Like a
Marquise.
Twizzler. No. What is it? So, as famous comedian Dimitri Martin said, and I, very much related to it, is I experimented sexually in high school.
Oh.
And the experiment was to never have sex, no matter how hard I tried. Hypothesis confirmed. That's his joke, not mine. But I did think that, like, freshman year and sophomore year, I was always like, oh man, I haven't even kissed a girl yet. Blah blah blah. I've been single this whole time. This is so lame. Like, oh, I'm so forever alone. Back when that was a thing. Back when that was cool to say. So yeah, back in high school, I thought that it would just be really cool to get like I thought it'd be the man if I could just get a girlfriend, And then I did get a girlfriend, and that was I know, it was very exciting stuff.
Ooh.
I won't say her name.
Jessica.
No. But we can still keep guessing. And it was
Epiphany.
Epiphany?
Epiphany was her name. Yes, absolutely. I dated a Native American shaman. Yes.
I know Melody.
Y'all are just making names up at this point.
Okay, you're from Iowa. Gwen.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was actually Stacy. Yeah. Oh man. No, but no, this is a fantastic. Well, I don't know if it was fantastic. It was a relationship. And
What grade were you in?
I was just going into my junior year.
Okay.
Like this was a summer of
Sophomore going into junior.
Exactly.
Cool.
And it was one of those things where my mom had asked me too. It's like, "Oh, what do you see in this girl? Like what's something that you like about her?" And my number one answer was that she liked me. And I think it was just one of those things where I just really wanted to have a girlfriend, and I didn't understand what the criteria was. And she's a fantastic woman, of course, and yeah, ironically enough, she's married to her husband after dating me. She found her husband and moved to Phoenix.
Oh.
You know, I was about to say, I was like, at least you didn't say it was her butt. But that's the one thing that you liked about her.
She had nice
But-
tits.
No. No, they were
Small, but they were okay.
they were medium, you know.
Nadia.
No, it was just one of those things where we, after a few months of dating, we just realized that the only thing we pretty much have in common is that we like to make out, and it was
You heard it here first. They made out.
Made out. Oh.
a couple of times actually.
Oh.
What?
Plural? Oh.
Multiple.
Oh my gosh, is that allowed?
I don't even know if this is gonna make it into the podcast, but
This is gonna get us canceled.
Canceled.
But go on, Marquise.
yeah, well, the kind of the culminating event was that I was asked. She asked me to spend the night with her at her
Mhm.
friend's house because her friend's dad was out of town, and 16-year-old me
What
was
on?
sitting there contemplating life and being like, well, I feel like if I go there, I'm probably going to know her in a biblical way.
Mm-hmm.
In a biblical way.
In a biblical way.
Yes.
Mm.
And
Because this is a clean show.
This
And
is
we
a
don't
clean
say
show.
things like
yeah,
that.
Sexy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was like, do I really just want to fuck her or and leave it at that? No. And I thought to myself, again, 16-year-old me, I was like, I had not been in a relationship before, but I don't think this is how it's meant to be. So naturally I came to the the next logical conclusion, which was to break up with her immediately over the phone.
Oh,
I
you say through text?
No. I at least was manly enough to call her, not tell her in
It's a-
person.
I mean, it's a step above. It's better than a text message. No, ask it in person. It's a middle. It's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
Remember
and,
which date?
like what date I broke up with her?
Mhm.
I don't know. It was in like.
I think it was a
October.
Thursday.
So like Halloween?
It was before Halloween. But I do remember her friend saying that she got like really drunk that night and then
Mhm.
threw up and then passed out. And I was like,
Oh.
awesome. Not that we're condoning underage drinking by any means, but yeah, I was like, okay, that's a natural response to being broken up to. And then later on, she was like, I don't get it. I even offered him sex and he still said no. And
He must be gay.
And that's where the rumor started. And since then, people have thought I was gay. They assume it.
They assume. You know what assume means?
Yes.
Make an ass out of you and me if you assume.
I do. I wish they would make an ass out of me, actually. That's hot.
Just fanning the flames in those rumors.
So, long story short, to answer your question, which I do remember now, no, I thought that a physical relationship was going to make me happy, and I realized that was not the case, and now I'm a good Catholic boy.
Man, my story's going to sound really lame.
No.
I mean, I talked about this on I think the very first episode. But one thing I really wanted that I thought would be like just so amazing, I thought I would cry the moment I had it, was an iPad, which is what I'm holding in my hand right now.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Like, fun fact, this is technically my third iPad. But like I just I just feel so.
iPads, actually.
I know. I also just feel so dumb. Like you guys are like really in like deep and like mine just dumb.
No, well, there's a bunch of instances. I thought like, oh, if I had a certain curly iron, I think I'd be the best. I'd be the bomb shiz. Guys would notice too. Something similar to that.
But But my point is basically it's like I thought if I had like this cool thing, it would like I would dream about having it. Like I would like be using it, and I would wake up and like shoot up in my bed, and like, okay, it's right here, right? And I'm like, no, it's gone. And then finally, I was 19. I had a little bit of money, and I did buy one, but I took it back because I thought like, no, it's too expensive. And then in hindsight, I really could have afforded it. And then I finally did get one properly, like 2-3 years ago. That finally broke down, and then I got this one. Thanks, Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet, even though I was not involved in the purchasing process at all.
We went to,
Thank you for gifting it, Janet, too.
that's right, 100% free.
I know, it was crazy. And then the next day she said, don't even worry about it. It's on the house.
That's right. I heard her, Marquise.
There you go. There's witnesses.
Still have bills to pay.
But the thing is, like, when I first got it, like, my first iPad, it was almost anticlimactic. I was like, wait a minute, it's just a piece of metal and plastic. It's not like it didn't change anything or make me feel any like better. And I think that's the thing that we all got at the end of it was it's like, oh, this thing I wanted wasn't that quantifiable. And it reminds me of this story about you guys know Dak Shepard?
Right.
Yeah.
He has his own really great podcast called The Armchair Expert.
Without a paddle.
Also married to Kristen Bell.
You know, Anna. Anna from Frozen, if you know her. But he was talking in one of the episodes. Gwyneth Paltrow was the guest that day, and he was saying that he had a relapse in his sobriety. He's been sober for years now, but there was a moment back in the early 2000s where he had a relapse, and he'd went on this vacation in Hawaii. He bought a bunch of crystal meth and smoked it the whole time, and got into like some fights and stuff, and he had to go shoot a big movie, and he's on his way home, and he stops at at a bar, I think like on a layover or something, and he turns and there's this mirror to the side of him. He's just huddled in the corner because he doesn't want anyone from like AA to see him or any of his friends, and it's like he's just depressed and so down and everything. And he always thought, if I just had $1 million, it would solve all my problems. And he had acknowledged, like, okay, I'm rich, I'm famous, I'm a celebrity, I'm making big movies now. I literally have everything I ever wanted, and I am not happy. Something's wrong with me. Like, this isn't working at all. And I think it goes to show, it's like, those, like, it's like, yeah, we can want something really materialistic and status or something, but it's not as fulfilling as we think it is at the end of the day.
Or even have like the perfect of circumstances and still be unhappy and still have clearly an underlying issue going on. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this week about how we in relationships or even in the context where I've seen it a lot in like in the church, where you hold priests to a high standard and stuff, and you kind of put your whole faith in them that they're gonna fix your problem and stuff, and everything's gonna be okay. Same thing with relationships. You hold the SO to a higher standard and stuff, and they're gonna fix your problem. They're gonna be the end all be all of everything, and they're gonna be able to solve that problem. You're not gonna have any issues. You're just gonna be happy and live happily ever after. And the truth of it all is that when you expect that, when you set yourself up for that, it ruins the relationship. You end up disappointing yourself because you put your esteem to an external thing versus what actually controls it, which is yourself.
And it's so it is sad that we look at things, even things so shallow, like Instagram likes, or comments on our Facebook posts we put, like those are, people look to that like, oh, that'll quantify me as something substantial. Oh, look, my TikTok got 1,000 views. I'm worth something now. And it doesn't equate to anything real at the end of the day. That's not like something you can take and is tangible enough.
Absolutely. Just to piggyback off that too, there's a how do you call it? Kind of like a motivational speaker slash leadership guru. His name is Simon Sink. He does talk about the fact that millennials, supposedly people like us, are more depressed than ever due to social media, and because social media gives off dopamine, which is kind of like the same chemical that you would get from gambling or alcohol or
Sugar.
Or sex.
or sex. Or
No, we don't do that.
stuff like that. But it's the only thing like that. But we have age restrictions on all of that stuff. Well, most of that stuff. But
I clicked I'm 18.
Did you do the math? You're like 102 too.
Yeah.
Yo, my man's using that R. Kelly calculator. He said, define teenage.
Define teenage. Like Epstein.
Yes. Oh no. But it's one of those things where these kids and teenagers and stuff like that, they're literally addicted to their phones and notifications from social media and stuff like that. So when they're not getting that, or they're seeing and I always tell people this, it's comparing everyone's highlight reel to the bloopers of your life. That's the way I see social media, and that's why I actually don't stay on there for too long, because I start looking at that and I'm like, man, these people are like
a drug.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at like my friends from high school. A lot of people in my grade are graduating right now, getting their degrees. I'm like, man, I have 0 degrees here. And I'm like, you know what? Nope, stop it.
You're a sergeant.
Yeah, I'm a sergeant. I've been to a few different countries. And I'm just here living it up in good old sunny Yuma, Arizona.
You don't need a degree to be successful, Mike.
Exactly.
Guys, I have a confession to make.
What is it,
What you
Janet?
got?
I spent $100 worth of stuff of things I found on TikTok.
Janet!
What'd you buy?
What
A lot of skincare. Skincare by Hiram told me to buy it. And this girl that made really pretty lipstick combos.
You told us within the same night you have bills to pay. What are you talking about?
You know what my mom say? You know what she'd say, right?
What?
I'd be like, so if they told you to eat shit, you'd eat shit?
Probably, yeah, if it was good for my skin.
Fun fact,
Janet.
it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Rose. Janet, that stuff's not going to make you happy in the day. It's probably not even going to make you pretty.
Those are some harsh words.
Truth
But
hurts.
You don't know. We'll find out when it comes.
We'll find
But
out.
yeah, since we're on that topic, I was like, I just spent $100 worth of stuff TikTok told me to buy. I hope it's worth it.
Because it looks appealing and you
'Cause
want
it
to
does
find,
look
Esteem in the...
So when that package comes and my 20 items are in there, I'm going to be so happy. And then 2 days later, I'm going to forget all about it.
And be in the swamp.
I'm going to be in my swamp.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's fine to, like, want things. Like, it's, like, we're perfectly allowed to, like, if you want to buy that makeup palette, if you want to buy that new MacBook, like, you're totally entitled to do so. It's just, like, we can't let it be, like, our all-consuming thing. It's, like, this is, like, what my life is aspiring to. I have the new MacBook out now. Like, no, I got the new iPhone fine today. We're like, you're perfectly fine to want things and get them, but don't let them be like, don't make them an idol.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to my logic, which is I try and remind myself every day that, everything is a gift from God, which also means if it is a gift, that I'm not entitled to it, in the sense of, I don't know, just for example, like if I lost like $20, I'd be like, well, that was a gift. So you know, as much as I would have liked to spend it on something else,
It wasn't mine to begin
it
with.
wasn't mine. Exactly.
Don't lie. You used it on the plan B.
Plan B.
I have a confession. One time when I was like 14, a little kid dropped $20 on the ground, and I used it to go buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Mama.
I mean, I could have went and give it back to him, but I spent it.
Xavier, you're like, we're just waiting for it to hit the floor, and you're like,
No, I think we were walking in the store, and I looked up like, that's $20. I just picked it up, and the kid kept walking. He's like, he doesn't know.
you just,
And then I literally went and I spent it right then and there.
Where the Yu-Gi-Oh
In the
cards at
same
now?
store.
They're right behind me in the closet.
Oh, okay, so you still have
I still have
you
them.
still have
You
them.
still have the 20.
See, it's an investment. They're probably worth more than that $20 now.
You know how hard of a flex that would be to literally take the man's money that's on the floor, go in line right behind him.
He's all checking his pockets and shit.
He's crying. It's like an 8-year-old kid too. I don't care.
That was like the time I parked right outside of Harkins Theater because I was gonna go see a movie, probably with you guys, and there was a as soon as I got out, like there was a phone that was ringing on the ground next to me, like someone had dropped it as they were getting into their car or something, and I answered the phone and they're like, "Oh, you found the phone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is mine now. I'm sorry."
I actually found one the day before at the tennis courts, but we returned it.
The
Mm-hmm.
lady was so nice. She was so cute.
That's awesome. Full disclosure, I did return the phone. Okay, I'm not a monster.
I am though.
You know what I was thinking of?
You're a dual monster.
I'm a dual monster. Yu-Gi-Oh joke.
When you were like, maybe it was a time when I went with you guys to the movies and stuff. I was remembering how we went to the movies, and you had gone back to the car to get something, and you came back out, and then you told Xavier, you're like, "Here, Xavier, you forgot this," and it was the empty little mini water bottle.
Because I left the tiniest little water bottle in his car. And he had to make sure he returned it to me so that I would throw it away.
Yeah.
In my own car.
Yeah. Well, because I have enough trash that piles up in my car.
I am the trash in my car. I'm enough as it is.
Janet.
Oh, man. Well, and you know what? You did throw it away, so I really appreciate that.
I did.
Yeah.
You know, when you were talking about earlier about the dopamine levels, being altered once you get gratification from like the likes and stuff on social media.
Yeah.
Cortisol levels, your stress levels release when you get notifications on your phone. And every time you hear like that beep or it sends notifications and you get that alert, your body physiologically, responds in like a stress manner.
I can
And
vouch for that 100%.
so turn off those notifications, guys. Except for this podcast and these subscribers.
Make sure you go to our YouTube page, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get all the latest notifications. And you can subscribe to every major platform podcast you listen to. Apple, Spotify, Google, you name it. We're there. Share it with your friends.
And
I
I'll say
need the
allegedly.
AdSense. And allegedly.
Yeah, so we don't get sued.
Thank you, Mexico.
How would you rate your guys' happiness on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
Right now, I think I'm hovering. I'd like to think right around a 9, honestly. I mean, I
Beautiful.
well, I'm so
Good
glad.
credit
I'm so glad
score.
you asked, Janet. So my secret is, and then I will jump right over to you, and you can answer that question as well. My secret is, I always tell people this, that things, achievements, and possessions, and other people, they can make you happier in life, but you can only get up to that certain. Sorry, there's a microphone there. You can only get up to that certain threshold in life, of being happier, but it's up to you to make the mental decision, like, I choose to be happy. And I always say that happiness is it's like or at least optimism for me. Optimism is like a muscle. You have to work it out. You have to work it out so that way it becomes stronger and you're able to be more optimistic about other things. Your average optimist, they will view the glass as half full instead of half empty. I like to tell people, like, guys, there's still water in this glass. Like, let's get excited. I know it's only 5 drops. I think we can still salvage at least a sip out of this.
No, Marquise, I don't have the girl yet. I don't.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm very thirsty. Clearly. Oh.
Oh,
Thirsty for Christ.
that's right.
Can I get an amen?
That's right. No, I totally agree. I loved how you explained that, or how you made the analogy of it being like a muscle. And because I almost look to it as it being a roadmap, like happiness being kind of like a roadmap or a terrain, and you have to kind of imagine and create more terrain for it and stuff to imagine, see beyond, and explore and look further. I would rate it at, I don't know, 5 being. So is 10 like you can die and you'll be okay with it?
Yeah, essentially, like, I guess you can tell, like, you could, like, literally, like, you're perfect at that
You're
moment.
ready to go?
Yeah, you could be ready to go right now.
Okay. Let's see. Maybe 7 or 8. It's gone up this week. I got some prayers answered. And I'm not saying that, just because something good happens, that's going to make me happier. No, that's not it, because it actually made it harder. I don't even want to leave. but no, but yeah. How about you?
I think, like, I'm, like, at a good 7 right now. I'm feeling pretty, good with my, I guess, overall being in situation stuff, and so I'm feeling good about it. And I bring it up because I've been listening to this really great new podcast called The Happiness Lab. It's by Dr. Laurie Santos, and she's a professor at Yale, and she actually teaches this, like, it's the most attended class in Yale history, and it's basically a class on how to be happy. Fun fact, you can take it for free if you go to Coursera.org. I think so. You can go there and actually find it. And actually, the whole thing is about, like, let's gauge your happiness. And, okay, you're going to start at one place and you're going to take an assessment. And over the course, let's see, do you feel a general sense of more happiness and stuff? Let me see. Because, and she also makes to address right now because of the whole, like, situation, people are losing their jobs, they're stuck at home, it's a depressing time, and she's like, it's even more important now to help increase your happiness, to help stabilize yourself. And I just want to share a little tidbit I heard from a podcast today of hers. It's called psychological distancing. Everyone's social distancing, but let's talk about psychological distancing. So basically, like when you're down and you're kind of feeling, stressed out, and you go to someone and like, hey, can I vent to you? Maybe get a little bit of advice. What you're doing is you go to that person because they're objective in the sense is they are not in your emotional state. They're not in your shoes. So whereas our emotions and our just everything's getting sort of in the way and we're not thinking clearly, they're stable in their feelings, like, hey, you know what? Let me rationalize this for you. Let me give you a little bit more peace of mind and break it down a little bit for you. So that's what is by psychological distancing, is that you are like an objective outside person. Now, the trick is that she was saying is like, we have to learn to do that to ourselves because maybe we don't always have that person with us. So we have to create that ability of psychological distancing. And she was talking to another researcher, and I can't remember his name, but basically what he had said was, he gives the example of was it LeBron James? He had there was one
LeBron
point
James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
There was a point where he a couple years ago when he became a free agent and he could decide where he wanted to play and find a lucrative deal and stuff. And it had actually, when he was going to announce what he had chosen, it was a whole big special, and in it he actually talked about the process of him deciding. And in it he says something like they asked him, how did you come to this decision? How did you decide? And he's like, well, I had to sit there and ask, like, what's best for LeBron? LeBron, don't do this from an emotional place, from a bunch of feelings. Like, do this from, like, a knowing. And the key thing he pointed out was, like, he's I know it sounds kind of weird talking to yourself in your third person, but what it does is it kind of tricks your mind to becoming that objective, person, creating that psychological distancing. It's like, you're okay. It's almost like you're talking to yourself, like, okay, Xavier, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, Xavier would want to do this to be happy, and he would do this. And so you're stabilizing yourself in that way. You're calming yourself down, like almost if you were talking to your friend, giving your And
this is when he was making the decision to go to Miami Heat, I believe, and he was in Cleveland, Ohio.
And so that's what it was, and he said that was a great way, and he not doing it from an emotional place, because we sometimes make decisions based off emotion, but when you can calm down and rationalize, you can better weigh your options. And so that's a great tip for when we're feeling stressed out. You can do this psychological distancing. And also, you don't have to do it out loud, too, because, that might be kind of weird, just talking to yourself in the third person, walking around.
Well, I mean, that way you could trick people into thinking that you're crazy, so they stay away from you. Hence, how to maintain good socials. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
And then there was one more tip. This one's called temporal distancing. And basically this one is looking ahead and readjusting your feelings. Because, like, okay, think of it like, you're a 16-year-old kid and you just failed your driver's test. You're distraught. You want to give that freedom. You want to get on the road. But you have to calm down and sort of, okay, think ahead. 3 years from now, you're going to be sick of driving. You're going to be so tired of driving. You're not even going to think about the stress you got from your license. Or like when you failed, that chemistry quiz in sophomore year, 5 years down the line when you're, at college, like it's not going to be that big of why are you so stressed out then? You're not going to be stressed out then. It's really trying to put in perspective, like, some of the things that we drive ourselves crazy over, we are not going to care a couple years down the line, a couple months down the line. And so it's all about, so these two tips, psychological distancing and temporal distancing, are really about you being able to self-stabilize yourself in the moments of stress and to kind of get your bearings back and to, okay, I'm okay, I can breathe. I'm not as in a hectic situation as maybe I thought I was.
Mm-hmm. Those are really good coping mechanisms. I think the one I relate to the most is the one where LeBron was looking at it from an objective standpoint, which is the psychological distancing that you were mentioning. That one, I think I would, and this is when I was even younger, like prepubescent, loose. Also, like I'd pray for my future self. I'd say like, even though I'm not going through something right now, I know I'm gonna go through the shitter when I'm older. Please pray for me that I still believe in you, okay? I would literally say that. I literally ask for that and stuff, and sure enough, I'm going through the shitter. So, there's a reason I knew prepubescent Liz, you were gonna go through life, and the temporal one you were saying, that one is the where you look at in the future in hindsight, huh?
Yeah.
That one, I would say the same thing. Like, you in the future, it's like, this is life's this long, I'm in this situation. This person may be mad at me, what I did may be not that important, may not be that important in hindsight, you know. So just look at it like that, you know. The way, if you took a wrong turn, you know, it's not gonna life still goes on, you know.
I think a big coping mechanism for myself, along with that, is just being able to laugh at your own mistakes. And I, as a very novice comedian, I've told people that if you can't even laugh at yourself, how are you going to make other people laugh? So I completely agree. Also with what you're talking about as well, where you just kind of like it's kind of like a reality check for your emotions. Basically, is what you're going with.
Yeah, and funny, it reminds, when I heard him talk about that, and especially LeBron saying that, like, no, don't do this from an emotional place, do this from facts. And I think I've said this. The money, that's hardcore. That's tangible. The money. But it reminds me of, I always talk about this book. It's called How to Be Holy, and in it, one of the quotes is, feelings are a lot like waves. They, are fun to play in sometimes. They hurt when they crash on you, but you can't build anything stable on them. And you need something solid, foundation, that's faith, that's knowing something is concrete. That's what you can build on.
That's true. That's a good point. Absolutely.
That's a good point. Yep.
And also it's interesting that that you both have mentioned LeBron as well, LeBron James, because I know we're currently recording this in June. Actually, in March of this year, right? The NBA canceled out March Madness, if I'm not mistaken. I don't.
That's right.
Sports, right?
They did have to cancel it this year.
Yes, and that of course was due to COVID-19, as my dad would call it, the Wuhan virus. And that's not offensive. That's just where it originated
in a lab in Wuhan,
China. Yes. And of course we had to cancel March Madness in the tournament because of concern for safety, for the health of the players, of course. Amazingly enough, there's a movie that came out a little over 2 decades ago about something like that, where a very mysterious virus was affecting basketball players, like very, very talented basketball players. And yes, I know. And the solution was that Michael Jordan teamed up with the Looney Tunes. And
it makes sense.
Yes, there you go.
It's coming together.
If Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny form a team, we can beat the coronavirus.
That's right.
That's what we're alluding to. Yes. It's time to slam. Welcome to the jam.
I was like, what movie is this? It's like, this is like life's like repeating itself, and it's like, oh, Space Jam.
Where have I seen this before?
And then Bill Murray will make an appearance and play basketball for about a minute of screen time.
Nice.
I know. It's old at this point.
Lab in Wuhan, China.
Yes.
Allegedly. But a thing too about it, like we can talk about our self-esteem, us being happy, what makes us happy. But if that's all we do, if we ever talk about it, if all we do is just talk about it, it's worthless, because what are you putting into practice at that point? Like, you actually have to take actions, like practice psychological distancing, do things that are healthy for your self-esteem. Like, maybe you do your makeup a certain way you like, because it makes you feel good. You go for that run in the morning and get those good endorphins.
Yeah, well, I like to do foundation and then eyeliner for my face.
So.
Okay, good.
Concealer? No, I have flawless skin anyway, so there's really no point in doing concealer.
That's right.
Okay, good. Because I can't stand when people do their eyeshadow first, then their foundation.
Pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned that. What did you say? you had said something right now that was really interesting. You were talking about uh esteem also, and but you had said something earlier. Can we backtrack?
Oh, well, I had just basically said, yeah, we can talk about it all we can,
Oh,
but you have to
that's
put into practice.
practice. That's right. Um, when I was younger, um, going back to the whole scenario of you acting on it and you actually putting it into action. It's only good to, you can say it all you want and reflect on it, but you actually do have to put it into action and locus of control. So you are the only person in control of the situation or of your own emotions and your own validation. So it only makes sense that you put your time and energy into like controlling your emotions and your self validation. You shouldn't be putting it in external things. Putting energy into things that materialistic things like you had mentioned before. I think a good way to practice to put it into practice is like sometimes looking at your flaws, like even spectoring your flaws can be like, okay, I'm not perfect. And that's okay. It's a good start.
Like, sorry, real quick. Speaking of which, can I mention something as you're talking about a little bit back into your childhood? Can I mention something from my childhood and even into my adult life that is funny, but then also kind of sad? Naturally. So growing up, one of the biggest things that I, ever wanted to be, and even today, I would say, I had always wanted to be a Power Ranger. Believe it or not.
You still can.
Well, I don't know. I know I could. I probably could be an Army Ranger.
What color would you?
I always wanted to be the pink one.
The
That-
pink one. Me too.
Whoa, what are the odds? Well, it's funny too because red's my favorite color, but I think I look best in blue. So I feel like I would probably be, Blue Ranger. I'm a good second in command kind of guy. So, which is very self-deprecating to
Fun
say.
fact: the Blue Ranger was also gay.
It's connecting.
He was Native American.
Interesting.
Go on, Marquise.
Okay,
You
so
want to
the-
be a Power Ranger.
So the reason why, and what's the funny thing is too, and again, this is going back to me being a kid. Naturally, a kid's reason for why they'd want to be a Power Ranger is because oh, cool superpowers, and fighting monsters and saving the world, stuff like that. That would be cool. As a kid, I was just like, hey, I think it'd be really cool to have 5 other friends to just always hang out and color coordinate with. That would just be amazing.
That'd be my thinking too.
Yeah, exactly. But
My heart.
Yeah. So that was
Like the same outfits you were talking about,
Yeah,
in
well-
uniform, and
well,
you
yeah,
guys are
and
all.
it doesn't have to be the same clothes every time. We
Mhm.
just have to make sure we have the same color palette going every time. So
Interesting. I almost feel like that was a seed planted for you later to join on in the Marines,
and I have to wear my least favorite color every single day.
Really? Green?
Green is my least favorite color.
No way.
I know. So
Mm.
sad.
And I really like that army green too.
You said you do like that?
Yeah,
Oh, well,
I do.
well, you're weird.
I am. But I'm willing to admit that.
Exactly. And that's the first step in self-esteem is just admitting that you have flaws and
It's
being
not
okay
even a
with it.
flaw.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like no, not flaws. That's a good point. Let's backtrack. I use the word flaws. It's not even flaws. It's it's preferences maybe.
Oh, yeah.
There we
of
go.
course. I was just being a jerk and calling them flaws. Sorry.
Nesio.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
And this is my last time on the podcast.
No,
so-
Marquise. I actually love you on here. Go on, Xavier. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that, you really can take action and change. Like if you want better self-esteem or you want more happiness or something, you can actually action that into your life. But it takes a lot of hard work. There's this really great quote by Rob McElhaney. He's the creator of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He plays Mac, and he said you can be anything, you can do anything, but it's gonna be really fucking hard. And I love it because it's so true.
It's very raw too.
Mm-hmm. Hard. They don't tell you how much money you're gonna spend, how much time you're gonna invest. They don't say that. I think that's a big misconception in life too, because you have your educators around you telling you you can succeed, you can do anything you want. What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, ha ha ha. And then they're like, yeah, you go to college, you do this and do that, and they kind of encourage this and stuff. They don't give you a rule book on how to do it either. They just are like, yeah, do this, do that. They give you this idea, so it's like you have it implanted in your head to do this and do that. And they don't mention that you're gonna be your ass is gonna be cold on the fucking bus every time you're riding it. They don't tell you you're gonna be sweating bullets when you get off, or you know, they don't tell you that you're going to probably get some phone calls like hung up on you. You know, they don't tell you that some doors are gonna be slammed in your face. They don't tell you that you're going to be broke or you're going to be hungry when you go to bed. They're going to tell you that you're going to have, you know, sleep for dinner. And
that's a good meal though. Sometimes I'll choose sleep over eating.
Right? Or you're going to be eating a tostado with peanut butter, you know, they don't tell you that. Or you're going to be, you know.
And after that, you'll take a deep breath for lunch.
Or you can be like dumpster diving the Dunkin' Donuts, eating donuts from there. You know, they don't tell you that. Don't tell you that. They just say you're gonna go to college, make money, get a degree and stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be fucking hard.
No, it is. It's really hard, and it's like,
not that I've done those things, you know.
Not that we've ever been through those things, but it's tough and it's hard, and it's gonna make you want to give up, and you're gonna be crying and depressed and going crazy. But I think at the end of it, it's like, if it's what you want, if this is something you want to have in your life, you're not going to give up on it. You're going to fight for it. That's really what it's about. It kind of it reminds me of this other quote that's like, if you give up after one no, you probably didn't want it bad enough to begin with.
I believe that. No, it's kind of like for me going through boot camp. You know, the Marine Corps boot camp is about 3 months long, and it is. I'm not gonna say it's definitely not easy by any means. You know, there's times, of course. You know, if you knew me in high school, like, you know, I was a theater choir kid, and, you know, always smiling, still smiling. So they didn't take that away from me.
Janet.
So, getting bullied to this day. No, you know, it's just one of those things where I didn't. There'd be times where I would view myself and being like, should I really even be here right now? Is this really meant for me? You know, anything like that. Just you know, there's a good amount of self-doubt that went through as I was going through. Two things to keep in mind though. You know, regardless of the self-doubt that was going through my head, I still did what I needed to do every single day. You know, I never threw in the towel, no matter how much I wanted to. And secondly, what kept me going was the words that my friend Kyle, he mentioned this to me, and this is the best piece of advice I ever got in life, which is, we can't always make the right decisions in life, but we can make our decisions right for what we're doing for our lives. I said, all right, well, and that's the thing, to this day, I don't know if joining the Marine Corps was the right decision for me, but I definitely feel like I've at least made it right for my life. I've, you know, traveled to different parts of the world. I've gotten to meet fantastic people, and, you know, it's opened up a lot of opportunities in my life that I never would have got had I you know, been doing what I was doing back in Iowa.
Like, if you still persevered through it, you know, like, and stuff. Like,
yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's, again, it's kind of one of those fake it till you make it sort of things. Like, you know, even though internally you're you're fighting a war against yourself. You know, externally, you just gotta be cool as a cucumber. Go through. You know, don't let them. You know, don't let them know what's going on.
Don't let them know what's going on. Don't let them know that you don't know shit about, handling a little girl with a rifle. Don't let them know.
No, yeah, exactly. You're like an expert. You talked her down off the ledge.
Keeping from experience, speaking from experience. No, yeah, yeah, we all go through hard times, and sure, it's something that we always reflect, and then sometimes you look back and you're like, dang, I did that. You're like, you go back and you're like, I don't even know how I even survived. Like, I hear some of Xavier's stories, and I feel like that for him, and he thinks the same way. And me too. I'm like, I don't even know how I survived in the beginning, like me moving out or anything like that. I didn't know how I survived. I literally had like 4 hours of sleep every day and stuff, and didn't have a car in the middle of the summer. And you think, and there's people who go through worse. But yeah, do you guys ever just look back? You're like, I just did that.
Oh yeah, all the time. Like, I've told you the stories of growing up before I was even 13 years old. Some of the things I've been through, it's insane. But it is about, like, sort of putting things into perspective. Like, hey, like, I did overcome a lot, but also realizing, like, it could be way worse. And that fun fact, that's even something they talk about in the happiness lab too. It's like they talk about, like, putting it in perspective and, like, understanding, like, okay, on average, most of the time, like, people really aren't, their environment isn't really that, toxic or that terrible as maybe we feel sometimes. Sure, it can stress us out, but, we take a pause, like, okay, it's not as bad, or, like, I can make it through this. But of course, obviously, like, if you are in a really bad situation, like, action that and make some positive changes. But no, it is crazy to think back that, like, just how, like, how each one of us just goes through all the things we've gone through, and, like, oh man, I made it to this side. I didn't think that was gonna work out. I think about that thing from 6 months ago, from a year ago, and it's just like, but it happened, and I'm still here, and I'm doing even better things. So it's just crazy to think that.
Absolutely. It's one of those things too, where, you're just going through this, this trial in your life, and you just, I don't know. It's funny because I look at, where I'm at now, especially too in my career, and I'm like, man, if I could just go back, like, just, 2 or 3 years and just go find Lance Corporal Hendricks, I'd punch him in the face. I'd just be like, dude, you suck. Like, come on, get your life together. And at the time I was probably doing all right, but it's interesting, when you're at the next peak in your life, when it comes to a mountain, you just look back and you're like, wow, I really came a long way. So
that reminds me, what's like the most absurd thing you've ever cried about over, or like have gotten upset over, that you would punch that little loose, or that little
yeah, I got you. No, there was my mom would tell this story. She's so dramatic. Or no, I'm sorry. I was the dramatic one, because I had wanted this again, my first relationship in high school. I didn't know anything about relationships. The girl I was dating at the time, I don't remember. She had like the flu or something. I don't know. She was like a little bit sick. And I wanted to go visit her, and my mom wouldn't let me. And so I literally got down on the floor. I was like, guys, no, I need to go see her. She needs me in life.
No.
junior year.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just like, I'm looking back.
2-year-old.
I'm like, dude, calm down. You're going to break up with her in a month anyway. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, naturally, I'm a theater kid, and I needed to express my emotions. Damn it. And the message came across, and that story is still talked about to this day.
You get him, you'd be like, get him.
Yes, exactly. And just go, be like, find teenage me and just smack him in the back of the head, which would be, assault of a minor, but I'd be willing to risk it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can pinpoint a moment, but I think me being like 12 to 22 would be a good place to start.
Yeah, that whole decade.
The whole decade.
The whole decade.
I think just a short answer. It's like I would just again reach to myself like stop what you're doing. Stop being so dramatic. You're fine. You aren't even gonna care this much in a couple of years, and I don't. I think that's really what I would tell myself. It's like it's not that big of a deal. You're fine. You're overreacting on certain things. I look back on a million things, like all the things like I would waste my energy and time on being upset or angry or furious. Like those mean nothing to me now, and it's like it's so much wasted effort. It's like okay, I've made such a point now to be like okay, don't maybe let this scenario freak me out the way I would have if I was like 17 or something. But that's really what I'd say. It's like don't care, but just don't care about the things that are like that don't have the value or the meaning that they don't have.
Mm-hmm. I think I go back to the Bratz baby doll story. I would have said, Luce, don't. I would have told my mom, don't get it for her. Don't.
Let her cry.
I
She doesn't
literally
need
only
it.
got to play with it one recess, and that was it. And they're like, oh yeah, it's over. I'm like, low-key, I'm like, did they stop playing because I was a part of it? But no, it dismantled because of it wasn't a thing anymore. And trends come and go, and that's the end of it, But I'm kind of like, now that we laugh about it looking in hindsight, but I'm really like, I'm actually disappointed in myself. I'm like, you let yourself succumb yourself to that, and kind of, you put your self-esteem into them. You didn't put it in yourself or find validation in yourself. But how else would I learn? It wouldn't make a good filler in a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I take away too. It's like after like the millions and millions of mistakes I've made, the biggest takeaway is like I really did learn something from them. Like I really did. And they were hard lessons, and God sure punched me in the face for them. But
you're still here, ain't you?
That's right, Janet. I'm still here, and no, like but I had to make sure I learned from them. Like it's like okay, you do not like what's happening now. Take stock in what it is, and don't do it again.
Did we just give examples of temporal distancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we tie it together here on the Lost Compass.
See, it all comes back together.
It all comes back together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Going back to a story I heard earlier this week. I like to watch the Philip DeFranco show a whole lot. And
Actually, I don't think I've heard of it. Would you mind giving a brief synopsis?
this one, I don't know. He's been on YouTube forever. I don't know a whole lot about him. I just know I like to watch him. That's all I know. So I'm really bad on the synopsis, but he's a YouTuber guy. He has a podcast too sometimes. Throws a few episodes down. And he gets a really, the reason I like watching him is because he's actually pretty objective. He is open enough to admit I have my own implicit biases and things and stuff, but aside from that, like you being maybe a watcher from years past, you probably already know where I stand here, but I'm still going to give an objective standpoint on things, and that reminds me of the whole temporal temporal distancing. So where he's like looking at it objectively, so he can be that to peers or the audience that are watching him. He's giving that that picture, that objective picture. When you were explaining it, the definition of temporal distancing, I was almost thinking, okay, so yeah, you are the specter of a burning house versus being in that burning house.
Mm.
That's how I was mentally observing it. But yeah, I really like how he pieces things together, and he covers a lot of good stuff. He was covering the the Alabama, the voting registration and stuff, how people were standing in line, didn't even get to cast in their votes and stuff. He talked about the YouTuber who rehomed her. That's not the right word either, but she said rehome. She said rehome in her video, and she rehomed her child that she had adopted from China, and and she and actually this story kind of ties in. So this YouTuber, she I think had already biological kids and stuff, and her and her husband decided to adopt another kid from China. I don't know if you've heard about this, Marquise. Have you?
No, I don't
No?
think I have actually.
Really?
I know I'm not keeping up with this stuff either.
So she decided to adopt this child from China, and she's obviously a YouTuber. She's monetizing her videos and making them family friendly. There's a lot of there's a big initiative to have some like family content out there on YouTube. Like they get a good incentive for having kind of clean things out there, and it's family friendly, anyone can watch it. So she was kind of hyping up her audience and stuff, and she was gaining a lot of subscribers,
Yeah.
and a lot of money was coming in and rolling in, and she adopted this child, and he ended up having some difficulties adjusting to the home environment. I believe he was diagnosed with autism. He is autistic, and the family, it's
He had it though.
he had it. Yeah, he had it. He got adopted and stuff, and the family basically were like, you know what, this isn't a good fit. Like, I don't know if they either said we're not investing enough time into something, or we just don't have the means. It would be to help him. We wouldn't have the means to help him in the way he could be helped, potentially by another family,
Right.
So they opted to, in the video they said rehome, so they rehomed it. His forever home. They said he finally found his forever home, and there's been a lot of outlash from the YouTube community, and they've had their subscribers go down too, because it's like you hyped up this moment of getting this kid, and then you told him he found his forever home. Like, he's not a dog. I think that's the term you use when you adopt a dog, right? Like forever homes and stuff. And so then I was there eating my ramen soup later in the week too,
Good choice.
and I love to put on another like some YouTube videos while I'm watching it. And there was people reacting to this kind of this decision, and there was this girl YouTuber who was actually adopted from China, and her mom was there too, right by her. And fun fact, she has 2 moms. And so it was it was a good good perspective to see. And she was saying how when she doesn't remember anything from adoption because she was small, but her mom was saying when she got picked, like, in China they're basically like, there's people who are special needs, like, do you want to adopt from this kind of like institute, or do you want to adopt from like someone who's quote unquote a healthy baby? But this is from another country, so it could be viewed differently when you take them to the United States. You know, they could end up having some kind of developmental delay, cognitive behavioral disorder or something. So her mom recalls her being anxious and kind of biting her jacket and stuff, and she's like, you know what, I want to take her. So she takes her, and she was silent. She even though she was quote unquote considered in China's government as like healthy baby, there was clearly some kind of mental health issue going on when she was a child. And what I think the adoption agency had said, the crossover adoption agency had said, it's like the more you put into this child, little by little, sure, you're gonna get progress. Little by little, the more you're gonna get. And sure enough, she progressed, and this girl's like, in her 20s now, going to college and living life, and you never expect she had like any what is it called, like social anxiety or anything like that. And because the mom was like, I remember working with her, and sometimes I'd cry to bed and thinking like I got nowhere and stuff, but no, like surely it progressed and stuff. And the mom was actually saying, like, I think the mom who had initially given up the child, that she had in the midst of that, she also had a newborn. And it's like, oh, she didn't have enough time management for him, and that's why and honestly, sometimes you do have to cut losses. You have to say, if it's better for the child, this, it is what it is. Like, it's for the child. I'm pretty sure her decision, was based off of that. I hope there was no malice in that decision making. But in the end, sometimes you do either have to cut your losses and say, you know what, I can't fucking do it, but then also it's like that persevering aspect of it too, where it's like, no, let me continue, let me see where I can go from this, because 20 years down the line, who knows, I can see my daughter going to college, or I can see the progress I've made, or that my child has made along the road,
But yeah. I like to say that slow progress is lasting progress. So even if it doesn't look like you're making notable accomplishments and stuff like that, just keep it going. And that's exactly how we persevere.
That's right.
All right, I think we're nearing the end.
I think you guys are right.
Any final thoughts for you guys? Any last words you want to say?
Let me think. I got my phone fixed.
We fixed Luce's phone finally.
The counter guy was necio.
He was hitting on her and everything.
He kept looking at me. He asked for my name.
Ooh.
It's serious.
I mean, it was to pick up my phone, but he wants me.
He almost like jumped over the counter.
He almost did. He begged me to buy that screen protector case, and I said no. I'm going to Best Buy.
Did you give him like a fake name, like something that like there's no way that anyone's actually named that? Like, for example, like I don't know, like Ashley or something like that.
No. I used my real name. I shouldn't have though. He even wrote his name on the receipt that he gave.
He wants you to look him up, Luce.
I know. First and last name.
It's serious.
He should have.
He should have put his social, yeah.
He should have. Yeah. Well, if anything happens, I'll have a screen protector guy now.
A cell phone guy. We got a tire guy. We got a screensaver guy. We got a Dutch Bros guy.
Yeah. You're just collecting all the service
all the
industries.
Pokemons and you. I have a bartender guy. I have a Domino's guy.
Who's a Domino? Oh yeah.
Janet.
I have a chili pepper guy.
Oh, chili pepper guy.
We have a Circle K guy. What else? Who else do we have? We have a Walmart guy.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Marine guy.
Hey, that's
We
me.
have a Home Depot guy.
Yeah, we do.
What's something we still have to get though?
A sugar daddy.
No. Like another guy that we have to get.
A pizza guy.
Mm-hmm.
Domino's, like
Domino's.
Oh, that's right.
We want a new pharmacy guy.
Need like a smoothie guy or something like that.
Taco guy.
Something.
An ice cream guy.
Oh, yeah.
Ice cream. Yes.
I'll just immediately start hanging out at all the Dairy Queens. Let's just see what sticks. Oh, there you go. Well, Cold Stone's a little bit more expensive.
Or at least McDonald's so they can't tell us the ice cream machine's broken.
Yeah, exactly. So we can go to our McDonald's guy and be like, hey, but really though. You know what I mean? But really. Whoa, bless you.
Rona.
That's a good time. You know what? Ironically, I do a lot of online shopping, and one of the things that I had bought in a random ad is a mask that I can wear, like a cloth mask or whatever it is. Funny enough, it actually did come from China, and I did not wash it before wearing it. So that. Yeah, exactly.
You know what's funny? I was helping my friend's dad revarnish the pews, and he bought sponges, the sponge paintbrushes, and one of my friends was like, "Dad, like it's not. It's not." And he's like, "You got to do it like this." He gets it and he just swipes it and it breaks on. And I'm like, "It's made from China. That's why." Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
all right. Any last words, Marquise?
Okay. So again, this can totally get cut out. Or
yeah, we can cut this part out.
Yeah. So I actually have been contemplating this for a little while now, right? And I fully believe in your ability to have a really good podcast, right?
I thought you were gonna say Bigfoot. I fully believe it.
No. I Bigfoot is still TBD, right? Okay. So I promise I'm not trying to imitate what one of our friends was doing at the time, but I really do believe that this podcast can be something amazing and special.
I already stopped the heavy breathing.
And I just started it. Okay, I'll stop that.
I haven't stopped the or likes or the fumbles and stutters, so.
No. So yeah, exactly. So we are making excellent progress, hypothetically, or theoretically, one of the two. And I think all you need is in investment into your future. And I think what's really cool is my uncle actually, he he did this thing where he opened up a savings account. Yes, Janet knows where I'm going with this. He opened up a savings account for me back when I was born, and I had closed it out recently and received an excellent lump sum amount of cash.
Nice.
It was.
Oh.
It was nice. It was definitely nice. But anyway, I didn't plan
I'm glad
this
you're
out.
sharing it.
I know. Well, I didn't plan this out too much ahead of time, but I believe that you just need a solid investor into your future. And I would really like to give this to you, which is $500.
Oh,
So hence why I'm not trying to imitate my friend.
It's all there.
Yeah. And I guess the only
500?
stipulation I have
Wait.
two.
Wait, I'll count it. Just slap me with it and I'll
Yeah.
get 500. It's there.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
there.
That's amazing. So literally, okay, two stipulations. One, I would like it to go. Ideally, I would like it to go towards equipment for podcasting, right? So that way, you can at least have something there. And then I would also like a 0% interest return in 5 years. Does that sound reasonable?
That's perfectly reasonable.
Okay, then.
the Apple Watch come included in this?
You stole my joke. That's what I was gonna spend it on.
like immediately. I don't even leave the room, and he's already like online.
Already typing Apple Watch.
No, Marquise, as you speak of it, it's actually in my cart right now. I was just waiting for that little wink from Xavier to push submit.
It's like, we got it, Janet. We did it.
So
Now we can finesse Craig and double it.
yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, but again, Xavier, I feel like we've been friends for quite a few years. We both have we. I know. I feel like we both have very similar goals in mind for what we want to do in entertainment and all that good stuff. And like I said, I think that all you just need is a kickstart, and hence Kickstarter, which is not funded by this by any means. And yeah, and so like I said, I just want to use that to kind of like help you out in your career, because I feel like you've been a really good friend to me, and that's what I want to do. And I probably won't be here in Yuma for your birthday, so boom, sucker.
That's true.
That means you won't be here in Yuma for your birthday either.
Yeah, but it's who cares about my birthday?
It's Luce's birthday too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's focus on
That's-
Luce's birthday. We have the same
It's your birthday
date.
too, though.
Yeah. So
Aw.
that's all I wanted to
That's
say.
really nice, Mark.
This is really nice. I'm going to give you a hug, Marquise. This is really nice.
I really hope our other friends here don't get jealous.
Marquise, anyone that's ever broken your heart, they're just looking at that moment. Yeah.
I'm really in shock. I'm not going to say that. I'm actually really in shock. This is obscenely generous, Marquise.
I did not plan. Like, I didn't discuss this with him ahead of time.
No, I didn't know this at all.
I was joking when I said, you're going to share it?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to pull a prank and like, here's $1. And I thought that'd be hilarious.
To be honest, I saw the wad of cash in his wallet when he pulled it out. And I was like, who just walks around with hundreds of dollars in their wallet? I was like, there's something going on. But I thought he was going to go to the strip club.
Yeah.
So this is better than what I thought.
Let's go to the casino,
Thank you.
guys.
We could still
Such
spend it
high
at the
heights.
club.
Thank you for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Marquise, we want you back, too.
Ooh, well, okay.
Especially if you do this. We'll have you back every day.
That's kind of a one-time-ish deal. Again, it's not like a gift. I'm not like super nice. It is technically an investment.
5-year return.
I got 5 years. All right, so June, technically it's the 13th now. June 13th, 2025, I'll have that money back.
I appreciate it.
I have a quick anecdote. You know what's really crazy about this?
What's that?
This is I don't know if you know Carol Burnett. Janet! Not Carol Baskin.
Killed her husband, whacked him?
Can't convince me it didn't happen. Carol Baskin.
That bitch, Carol.
No, the comedian Carol Burnett. She, I hope it's the right person I'm referencing. I'm pretty sure, but she had wanted to be an actress. She wanted to be a comedian. She wanted to go out and get this start and stuff, and she wanted to go to college for it. But it was just, she was so poor. She didn't have any of the financing or anything to do it, and I think she had like a waitress job, and she was explaining it to one of the patrons there, and the guy said, I want to fund you. I believe you can do what you set out to do, and you can make it. And so I'm going to pay for your education and what you want to do. Just, I think it's the same thing in 5 years' time, you can pay me back then. Or I think it was like, once you've made it, you can pay me back then. And I think it was like 5 years, and to the date exactly, she went back to him like, okay, I have my own TV show now. I've done it. Here's your money back. And it's such a crazy. That means we're gonna make it, you guys.
We are gonna make it.
But that's extremely generous, Marquise, and you're really too kind, and I really do love you, and you're one of my best friends.
Thanks.
And
Genie from Aladdin. You never had a friend like me.
Yeah.
but no, that's great, and I'm just gonna keep ranting forever. But this has been a great episode, you guys. A lot of laughs, a lot of surprises.
Hopefully we make it to 18 cents now.
Yeah. And you're gonna see a lot of cool new stuff around here now. There's investments. But no, thanks for tuning in. Keep tuning in. We're gonna keep doing a lot of cool stuff. And thanks for again one more time for Marquise for coming on and for you guys keeping up with us. Yeah, that's it. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good
In your
night.
face, Craig.
Good night.